we're fine. Okay.
All right. All right. Awesome. So we have quorum here. So Laura, glad you were able to make it. I couldn't remember if you were down for MASC, if that started today or not, or if that's tomorrow. But
It did start today, but I didn't go.
oh, okay. For some reason I thought you went, but it worked out. So. All right, so I will go ahead and call to order the meeting. I already have minutes up, so I'll kind of take those, and this hopefully will be a shorter, or at least not so bad. So I'll go ahead and get started, call the meeting to order at 7:04. So first item on the agenda is I would entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from August 30th.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Moved by Jean and seconded by Laura. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, we will move to a roll call vote. I'm just going to call them Jean?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. It passes. So next item on the agenda, like I said, really this is, so Dr. Riley, this is kind of just a chance for you to, like I said, we got this on the calendar just to kind of give us a little feedback, let us know kind of how your first month working for your goals and your first year as a superintendent, kind of all that's going. So kind of just, like I said, I'll pass it off to you to kind of update kind of whatever you feel like kind of talking through.
No, and thank you very much, Carl. I appreciate it. I think the big thing I was looking for, and I'll be honest with you, so far for goals, so far so good. The one thing I will share with you that I am struggling with is I have not been in schools as much as I've wanted to be. And I actually had talked to my coach about this last week. So I'm just going to have Randy actually schedule time in schools for me. So it's on my calendar and I'm in there and I have to do it first thing. I think it's easy with the things that are going on to get sidetracked. And, you know, I haven't been good, I'd say for now, 2 to 3 weeks, as we have been doing, as I had been committing to earlier. And so that's the one I would just say I've been frustrated with, but it's not because it's an unreasonable goal. It's just something I have to find a better way to schedule my time and get in there. A good part of it, I would say, you know, it's like we just spoke with John Kroll. He was in 3 schools today, and I know Jane Daly's been in a bunch, so they're making me look bad. I gotta get in there. I think the one thing I was looking for feedback on and trying to make sure that I'm going to be prepared when we actually do look at goals and I produce evidence for them is I didn't know if anybody had a chance during the last superintendent's report. I had put into some of the goals that I'll be keeping track of, you know, what has been accomplished. And so I'll give you an example, partly what we're doing around MTSS. We've had a couple of, you know, I shared those goals with the principals and I, you know, did it in a PLT meeting there. We looked at our DCAP document the last time we had a curriculum PLT meeting. Tomorrow, they're going to go through data protocols at PLT meetings. So a lot of it's kind of connected to that work. And I think what I'm wondering is, as I go along, what level of detail do you think is helpful for the committee? Is it, you know, at the point where if I'm putting in a superintendent's report is just putting a bullet in and, you know, have this work, this is what's been completed. And then longer term, I guess I'm trying to get a sense of what the committee would want. Would you want agendas? Would you I'm thinking about the DCAP, right? Would you want to see that we worked on that at a PLT meeting and then a revised DCAP? I guess I'm more kind of looking at what level of specificity people are going to want when I actually submit evidence that the goals have been completed or supported, or what part of them has been.
So, I mean, I've got a couple thoughts, but certainly Jean or Laura, if you'd want to kind of give you guys first choice to kind of offer things that maybe, or at least like personally, like your personal things that you might be looking for, because that's reasonable representation. Laura, I'll let you hop first if you can like kind of just offer up any of your thoughts on that.
I'm going to pass for a minute because I'd love to hear what everybody else is thinking at this particular moment.
All right. So, Gene, anything you would care to offer?
So I think, while you're working on the agenda, superintendent reports for school committee, it may not take too much longer just to keep like a second, like running document of like month by month what happened. So I know it's in the agenda, but like, I know when I do like when I'm working on my goals, I try to always like have a separate document to just summarize all of the things that happened as the year went on in one place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's helpful, but
No, it is. And because partly what I'm trying to envision, Gene, is I don't want to enter into March and then all of a sudden be going back through a bunch of things and wondering, oh, is this sufficient detail? Should I just include a superintendent's report? Or should I have kind of and I'll be honest with you, like I'm thinking about, I have a goal to make 39 school visits, 3 in every school. What would be helpful for that documentation? Is it keeping a calendar or supplying a calendar, or would people like the time I was at a school and the activities, what I mean? So should it be, hey, I was at NAQUAG on, December 1st and I was there from 9 to 11 and we, met with the principal, visited the K-2 classrooms and, attended who knows, a teacher PD or something like that. Like I'll give you an example. I'm going to the high school on November 15th and Bill has coffee chats with his teachers. And so my assumption is I'll go around to some classrooms, but then be with Bill for his coffee chats where it's a chance to interact with faculty and see what's on their minds type of things. Would that be helpful? I guess what I don't want to do is not keep sufficient records and then kind of be like scrambling, you know what I mean, to put things together. And then I also don't want to give people like this voluminous, record that everyone's like, I'm not going to read that, because I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to read that. I mean, we used to laugh at it when you were principals, right? There were people who just came in with the wheelbarrow and then, there it goes. And I don't want to do that, but I also want to represent the work with some authenticity where people are satisfied with the details that I'm providing.
So one thing that I would say that I think would, because part of the challenge is with the breadth of individuals that we have on the committee, that there are some members on the committee who are going to want to dig into really. They will spend a lot of time with the evidence that you submit, and they will really want to be able to dig into that and kind of pour through it. And there'll be other members of the committee that will take a higher level view. And so what I think, for example, like the updates that you include as part of your superintendent's report, whether it's like in the report or even if you have, as was mentioned, maybe a separate document that it links to that they can then kind of reference, because that's at least like a good, to be honest, like that's helpful for you as well, because there's two things I think that when at the end of the year, you're going to want to be able to pull together for the evidence. And that part of it, it's the what you did, or so the what you did, and then the kind of the impact, the so what of that. And the first part of that for what you did is just kind of keeping that list of things. And so the list of like, these are the schools I went to, this is what I did at the schools, these are all the meetings I held, this is all that. That's the what you did, but what the committees look like, being able to say what came from that. And so when you're kind of keeping your running tally, like at this point in the year, having that what you did is the first part, because even if you don't like elaborate on and flesh out kind of all of the impact of it right now, because some of it you might not be able to see like until like later on in the year, you can be like, I had this meeting in, I met and talked with principals about, say, data in October, and we met again in December, and we met again in our first week in March. And then what came of that was that this is where they were. This is kind of where like all my principals were all over the place in October, and then by March, these are like the examples from all the principals of what they're looking to do with data, and you can see that they're much more in better alignment. So I think that's one of the big things that the members of the committee will be looking for, though, is the impact from kind of the events that you've done. And so and granted, this year, a lot of it is figuring out, like learning about the district, figuring out the district and all the ins and outs. And so, like all of the school visits, like I think like with the school visits, the level of details, it's like how long you spent at the school, like kind of like what you did, maybe like who you met with. And again, the kind of being able to like at the end of the year, then you can say, yeah, I did all these 39 events. I've met with every principal I've met with throughout the year. I ended up getting a chance to meet with like 90% of the staff at their locations. And the impact of that is that the staff has a better, like the staff has kind of a better understanding of me. They understand where I'm coming from. And you can like, you could tie to that, like, and I don't like throwing out surveys just kind of for survey's sake, but like maybe like towards the end of the year, as you get closer to the end of your first year, like you can kind of survey the staff to see like the visits I've made at the schools, talking with kind of viewing the schools, like, are there things like, as a new superintendent, I'm coming in, I'm doing this, are these the things that you want to see from the leader of the district? And having my directors come in and make visits as well. Like, are you like, do you want to see this level? Do you want a little bit less from central office? Then, of course, I mean, yeah, all the buildings would probably say, oh, we want less central office. But I mean, they do want to see you and they don't want to see you. So that's kind of, but I think like, if you had something like that kind of like towards the end of the year, that would help kind of gauge the impact of all the visits you make, because it's easy, because again, like I said, part of it is you learning about the district, which you can say, after doing 39 visits, I know a lot more about all the facilities. I know about the teachers. I know what the flow of students look like. Like you can talk about all the things that you've learned, and then being able to highlight like how that also has benefited the staff, benefited the district as well. So I guess I think long-winded answer, at least on my thoughts, but hopefully I think that's at least my observations kind of from things that I've seen from the evaluation side of it, kind of as we get to the end. A lot of the things, like when committee members say they want more evidence and kind of more specificity. And then, and with like kind of I think when you get to the end of the year, I think maybe like, and I don't know if it would be like having it almost like an annex for like when you compile all your evidence, kind of having maybe not like executive summary, or at least kind of like your shorter narrative, and then like the meeting agenda is kind of like a separate annex for members of the committee that really want to pour through all those individual things, so that if someone wants to take a higher level view, they can read it and they've got it. And then if someone really wants to dig into stuff, they have it there. So that may be something to think about. And as we get close, I think as we kind of get closer towards the end, when you're pulling things together, we can kind of bounce that off as well.
Yeah, no, honestly, that's all helpful because I think that's what it makes sense. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I would have arrived at that on my own. And I think that what will be important is that I'm just thinking of things right now. Like I actually had a former superintendent, Tony Bent, who used to be in Shrewsbury, and he used to do a nice thing where when he would go to a school, he'd do a recap kind of email to the staff about what he saw, or he always like it'd be like 3 takeaways or whatever. And honestly, and I think it was always great because the staff kind of knew that he was paying attention, or he saw things, or he was engaged, and that he was taking, it wasn't just, I want you to see me. And people always like being appreciated and that people are noticing them, especially when they're doing good work. And so that's helpful to me because I think that's a practice too that could also help frame some of that stuff, Carl. You know what I mean? As I go along, try to identify trends and all those things. And I do, like, I don't want to. I think what I've realized and where it was helpful for me for this, and I did want to get together tonight, just even briefly, is just to get people's thoughts on that, because it was underway, and I don't want to be, February and like, holy cow, what am I gonna, bring all these things together? And I would say I think I am gonna be able to make more meaning if I am engaging in more kind of an organized practice when I do engage in some of these things. You know what I mean? Maybe take some notes. I like Jeannie's idea too about putting down kind of a running record and not just going through superintendent's reports, you know what I mean? Trying to cull it out of all that. And so, no, it is helpful. And then I like the idea of doing a high level and then having some drill down information if people want that. I think that makes sense.
I think the secret too, which I'm never very good at because I'm not the most organized of folks, but the people that I've seen that are really successful with this whole new evaluation sort of process, they tend to like put a folder in like Google Drive where it's prominent and ready to dump stuff in on a constant basis. Yep. And then within that folder, then they organize it into other folders as well. So I think that could really help you to kind of, anytime you're doing something, you can, I personally think all of the superintendent reports you've been putting out are extremely helpful, and they do show that you're working towards your evaluation process as well. So even just keeping, a copy of all of the superintendent reports in a folder, and then that folder is something that you could be sharing at the end of the year. So like Carl said, when people want to really delve, they're able to delve in.
Okay.
Laura, anything? Laura, anything else I know you've had a chance to at least certainly hear me talk a little bit, but.
Yeah, I did. And I thank you for that. Thanks for circling back to me. You said the practice that I do, which is I have a spreadsheet, and in that spreadsheet I put hyperlinks to the folders or to the document or whatever. And so when I present that to the principal or my evaluator, it's really just one spreadsheet, and inside are the hyperlinks, and it says what the I kind of title the evidence, and I say what it goes to, what strand it goes to, or what strands of my goals that it ties to, what evidence it goes to in my indicators. And then the last part is I usually do some sort of little narrative in the sort of another cell over, and it just kind of summarizes in like a sentence or two, why this evidence is important and what it shows, so that my evaluator has can say, oh, that's what you think it shows. Do I agree? Kind of a thing. Do I agree that it shows what you think it does? So that can be a method too that's used. Yeah, I would agree with Carl. Like, there are going to be some people that want to see high level stuff. Like, what are your takeaways? What is this building towards? I know some of this is not going to be end product work, but end product for a small time, sort of phase one, and then it's going to be transitioning over to phase two. Some people are going to want to take that deep dive into every single document that you provide, but having really what I would say is most critical is that you are demonstrating that you are achieving your intended goals, that you are doing the work, right? You are how you're spending your time, as Carl said, what the takeaway from that time is, and also like how you are building capacity within our organization for other people to continue the work, right? So that it's not just all the gym show, but how this is going to translate into an organization that runs efficiently and effectively and towards the same goals, right? So by incorporating, yes, we had this meeting, and my director of business and finance is going in this direction, and my sped director is going in that direction, and sort of showing how that leadership is sending those tentacles out within the organization and building that capacity, I think is going to show how the work follows through.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
I like that, Laura.
Gene, anything else you want to add?
No, I think everyone's really on target.
Can I just add, since
yeah, absolutely, go for it.
You did mention that that it's nice to know that people appreciate the work that you're doing, Jim. I really do appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you. No, I appreciate
it. And one thing just one thing I will add as well, that I think that the committee appreciates in some shape or form the updates that do come with the superintendent's reports, and whether it's, again, like I said, part of the report, or if you've got a link that says this attachment, these are the goals that this is the things that I've done working towards my goal. I think the committee does appreciate. I think even just once a month, they don't need to see it every single, especially if we've got 2, or if we get it to a point we're doing 3 meetings a month, but at least once a month for them to say, this is what I've done this month, so since the last month, and these are kind of the goals that it's working towards. I think the committee does appreciate that, because it shows that it's your way of communicating to the committee that these are the goals we agreed on. This is kind of what I've been doing so far. And to be honest, if you have to do that type of work once a month, then by the time we get to the midpoint and at the end of the year, again, you've already got that list of all the things that you've done. So it's not like you're in March and you're like, now what did I do back in November? And trying to have to pull all that together. And so I think at least being able to gather all the things that you've done once a month, and to put that to the committee, that the committee appreciates it, and then it's helpful to you because it helps you to organize as well. So certainly I would encourage you to keep doing that. And again, if the format of it kind of changes a little bit so that it's a link in the attachments, and you can say, there's a link from my report to this attachment that lists everything I've done, so that the committee can say oh yeah, got it right there. So, but I definitely would encourage you to keep that up.
Okay. No, that's great. And honestly, I think it's those next steps that you've all shared, that's good for me to be thinking about. So that's well received. So thank you. Because that's honestly what I was looking for. And so I'm good if you are all, but these aren't things that I'm able to, I will miss this if we don't have this committee some capacity next year, because I really do appreciate the ability just to, put it out there and get the feedback in this manner. So thank you all.
All right.
I also really appreciate. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I really appreciate, Jim, that you're really you are very forthcoming with things that you're going through and things that you're seeing and thinking. It's really super helpful, I think, and you're doing a great job. I mean, everything you've been doing is very impressive.
Thanks.
All right. Well, if nothing else, so we'll move on. The next item on the agenda is for our next meeting. So, I mean, Jim, it's really up to you when you would kind of want to get together and kind of just talk and see how things are going. So,
I'm honestly, I think the time frame I'm thinking is I think I owe you an update. I think I'm updating the work in December that I've been doing with the new superintendent induction program, and perhaps after that meeting in December, whether it's early January or something, just to get feedback from, again, where we sit, just a dipstick where people think we are in the goals. That might be helpful for me, but otherwise, it really has been supportive, and I do appreciate the conversations and the feedback.
all right, we'll yeah, I'll send out a note to Randy and have her to kind of query people's schedule. But I mean, unless something comes up for you that you would want to meet with us, I mean, it would probably be like early January, because you would be giving your like kind of half-year update to the committee. I think we have that second meeting in January where it's kind of like you're kind of presenting like your evidence kind of so like halfway through the year kind of, and it's your update to the full committee kind of where you're tracking. So like if we were to meet before then we could kind of,
that would be great.
Help, at least kind of that's a forcing function to kind of help you kind of prep for that as well. So I mean,
that would be great. I like it.
So I mean, yeah, I'll take a look at the calendar and have kind of Randy at least maybe start to look at, maybe come up with something that early January.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, if something were to come up that you would want to meet with this group, then you can reach out to me and we'll kind of query and see what's available.
That sounds great.
My schedule too at the beginning of January is very flexible.
Okay.
I'm not at UMass Lowell until like the middle to end.
All right. Well, thank you. So that, like I said, that's a wrap for us today. That I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Laura and seconded by Jean. So all in, or roll call vote. Jean. Yes.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. We are adjourned at 7:31. So thank you all. I appreciate your time. Like I said, enjoy the rest of your evening first, and as we head on into November.
Very good. Enjoy,
Thank you
everybody.
all.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.